Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, YAHAWASHI, Bahashem, Ruchak, Wadash, and double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, salutations, and blessings to the house of David, which is the elect. So, as the title reads, there's a lot of moving parts, but Cbdc is the end game. Okay, and as we know, Cbdc stands for central bank digital currency. And, as I was just, going through a few different articles and, just continuing, just being on the watchtower as Yahawashi has commanded us to do, all right, to feed the sheep. I think a brother had posted this in our group chat. And I seen a couple brothers and elders have done videos on this as well. So I just want to add on, through the Spirit, Lord willing, to edify and to warn, the elect of YAHAWASHI, all right, of the times that we are, rapidly, going into, okay, because, although there's a lot of things happening in the world, right, you have Russia at the doorsteps, or the backyard, rather, of Babylon the Great over there in Cuba, and, you have, that whole, the war, the theater of war happening in various different places, which, Yahawashi, already told us that these things were going to happen, right? Wars and rumors of wars. Okay. But, earthquakes in diverse places, famines, pestilences, and we see all those things happening in the world. Okay. It's undeniable. Like 1044 called YAHAWASHI. It's undeniable that, we are at the end. Okay. That vibration is throughout the world. Okay. However, we do know, according to measuring the times diligently, that there are certain, prophecies that have to happen, in succession. All right. Or shall I say, have to, precede, the war 3, turning nuclear, before that could happen. And, one of the main things is something that, starting with the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and the ones that teach and that, that true doctrine of Yahawashi, right, which Yahawashi, the testimony, right, of Yahawashi is the spirit of prophecy. And we are testifying, right, of the words of Yahawashi. Okay. Not everybody that, claims to be teachers are actually witnesses, right? Because that's what that word testimony means. Witnesses of the spirit of Yahawashi. All right. That is only given unto the elect, you see, and the elect are going to be occupied in prophecy. So, one of the main prophecies that we are looking, hastening and looking toward is the prophecy of the mark of the beast, right? And we're going to continue to keep harping on that, right? And I was just reading earlier today as well, and we've read this chapter, scripture, plenty of times, but it kind of hit me differently as I was reading it today. Here in the book of Revelation, chapter 14, and I'm going to start at verse 6. It says, "And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel preach unto them that dwell on the earth, to every nation, kindred, tongue, and people." Okay. And, the word angel means messenger. All right. And you don't, see actual angels, right? It's, speaking of celestial beings out on the highways and byways, preaching. But hey, through the Spirit, Lord willing, if we be those men, we are our angels. All right. Because like I said, the word angel just means messenger. And we are messengers of YAHAWASHI preaching the gospel. OK. Verse 7, it says, saying with a loud voice, fear God and give glory to him. And that is what we say. All right. In the name of Yahawah, YAHAWASHI. All right. We're putting, the Lord, should I say, is putting his name, back on the earth through his men, all right, the messengers, and we are proclaiming to give glory unto Yahweh through his son YAHAWASHI. It says, for the hour of his judgment is come. And that is the message of the prophets, Jeremiah 28:8. All right, that we are in a time of judgment. So it says, and worship him that made heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of waters. And there followed another angel. All right, so you had that angel, right, the messenger. And then you had another angel followed, saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all the nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. So that is also going to be a message that the messengers will be proclaiming. Okay, fearing the Most High, for the time of his judgment is at hand, right? And we know that the judgment of the Lord is going to come at the end of the world, all right, through YAHAWASHI, all right, through the plagues, through the wrath of the Heavenly Father being filled up. And we also know that, a part of that same message is that what? Babylon the Great is fallen. Okay. And, once again, that message is not being spoken about by, all, people who claim to be Israelites. All right. It's definitely not being spoken about in the Christian church. See, this is a prophecy or a vision that John saw, and it is being played out right now through the prophets of the Lord. Okay. A part of our ministry, a part of the gospel, a part of the doctrine is proclaiming that Babylon is fallen. Okay. And who, speaks against America, being destroyed the most. All right. Who speaks about Babylon the Great, which is America. All right. Receiving the judgment. All right. That is written. Okay, which is that utter destruction, because, as it says, she made all the nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, as it says in NLT, because she made all the nations drink of the wine of her passionate immorality. Okay, see, the true believers are going to be in the same position or same mindset as Lot, which Scripture says that what? It vexed his righteous soul. Okay, day to day, seeing and hearing, their, wicked and evil deeds, roughly paraphrasing. You see? So all of the immoralities, all of the abominations, the wickedness that Babylon has perpetuated, throughout the world, and has caused the nations to drink of that wine, right? As it says in Jeremiah 51, right? Therefore, the nations are mad. There is a judgment for that. All right. And we are the ones who are proclaiming that judgment that is coming upon Babylon the Great. See? And also by seeing the things that are happening to this place, seeing the decadency, right? Seeing the demoralization, seeing the unraveling of America right before our very eyes. It's happening, internally and externally, right? On a global geopolitical scale, right, and within the nation itself. Okay, this place is just completely falling apart. And as Jeremiah said, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. There is no healing this place. So that is a part of the doctrine, right? That is a part of the gospel. Verse 9 is the point. It says, and a third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice. So another messenger, right? And it's all connected. All these, the first, second, and third angels, the messengers are all speaking. They're all going to have that same message, so to speak. It all comes together, should I say? It says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in their forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And that is what? That is the lake of fire, right? Babylon the Great being utterly destroyed, and those who receive the mark. Okay, those who worship the beast in his image. Okay. The beast being the system of Esau, Edom, okay, which is, currently being headed by Babylon the Great. All right. And his image is what? His likeness, his philosophies, his ideologies, his ways of being, which is completely adverse unto YAHAWASHI. It's a anti-Messiah imagery. All right. It's an anti-Messiah vibration. Okay. And mentality that this devil puts out into the earth. And then it says what? And receive his mark. And that mark is the implantable, microchip. So the angels, right, these messengers would be proclaiming this as well, as it says, saying with their loud voice. So this is something that was going to be spoken, loudly, right? And when it says loudly, it means what? That it was being heard constantly, right? It was being heard throughout the four corners of the earth. And that is what the true men of the Lord are doing. That is why we are always harping on the MOTB. You have a lot of these guys, right? A lot of these other camps that say that, we speak about the MOTB too much. Well, guess what? One of the three angels here that John saw, that was their message. Okay, about the judgment of taking the mark. So, without further ado, I just wanted to touch on that real quick because, like I said, I was reading this, but I'm gonna run through this real quick. So, Lord willing, it's edifying and cohesive. So it says Saudi Arabia petrodollar deal with the U.S. expires with no new agreement in place. It says a petrodollar agreement with the United States and Saudi Arabia has expired. As per reports, the Gulf nation has decided not to renew the deal that expired on June 9th. The move can be seen as a global finance paradigm shift from the USD as a reserved currency. The termination of the deal may have implications and consequences for America. Okay, so long story short, America and Saudi Arabia made a deal about 50 years ago that Saudi Arabia would sell its oil in the U.S. dollar in exchange for the U.S. dollar, in exchange for the America to, give Saudi Arabia backing militarily, right? Give them weapons, come to their aid if they ever need any type of military backing, so on and so forth. So that was a 50-year agreement, and it just, it just expired this year, June 9th. So it said the deal was a major milestone for the U.S. global economic dominance. So far, there is no official confirmation to renew it. The 50-year-old agreement has had a significant geopolitical and economic implications. It acted as a catalyst in shaping the global energy markets and influencing international relations. The petrodollar system was signed in 1974 as a result of a bilateral agreement between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. Both nations decided to price and trade oil in the U.S. dollars. With the oil standardized in terms of the dollars, every country purchasing oil from Saudi Arabia would be required to pay in dollars, and that did what? That gave America a great advantage on a geoeconomical level. All right, because as we know, the Saudi, that Saudi Arabia and that region is very rich in oil. Okay, so countries from all around the world would want the oil that Saudi Arabia has. So in order for them to get the oil that Saudi Arabia had, America said what? You can trade or you can sell your oil to these other countries that want it from you, but you gotta sell it in the U.S. dollar. So the other countries, that would want the Saudi Arabian oil, they would have to get a exchange, right? They would have to exchange it. They have to exchange their currency for U.S. dollars, and the U.S. would do what? Tax that. Okay. they would put, taxes on that exchange rate. And that's how America would ultimately gain an economic advantage over all of the nations. So it says every country for purchasing oil from Saudi Arabia would be required to pay in dollars. Several other oil producing countries also began to standardize their oil pricing in the US dollars, which gave push to the petrodollar system. Okay. In return, the U.S. provided military support and security guarantees to Saudi, ensuring its stability and protection against external threats. Meanwhile, Saudi agreed to invest its oil revenues in U.S. assets, primarily Treasury securities, which help finance U.S. deficits and stabilize the dollar. All right, so that's pretty much it on this. Okay, and then it just goes into the history of what happened, or how that came to how that agreement took place. But all in all, what ended up taking place after this, right? Now you have the Saudi Arabia. They got, they became a strong nation, right? They have the military weapons from America. They no longer need America in a sense of having, external protection from external threats, because they have U.S. graded weapons. So that's, something that came to my mind. It was the book of Obadiah, the first chapter, well, the only chapter, 1 verse 7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread, right? What was the bread? That US dollar. All right. And the military backing have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. Okay. So these countries like Saudi Arabia and other countries as well, they're seeing that they have gotten to a position rather that they no longer need America, US dollar. We're now at a point in history, right? Or in time rather, that countries have this understanding that they can move away from being underneath the thumb of the US dollar. And that ultimately would actually just enhance their own economy. And that is why Saudi Arabia hasn't renewed this agreement. Now, I got another article here, right? It says, this is from the BIS, which is the Bank of International Settlements. Project mBridge reaches minimum viable product stage and invites further international participations. So I have a video that I'm going to play too, but just to read this real quick, some of this is basically the reason why Saudi Arabia hasn't renewed their agreement, with America. It's ultimately because the CBDCs, right, has now allowed them to be able to do cross-border transactions, right, and cross-border settlements with other countries. And doing so, it will be able to boost their economy without having to go through the US dollar, right? So they basically no need for a middleman in order to do transactions. And that ultimately is going to do what? That's going to cause the US dollar, therefore the US economy, to become less important on a global scale. Now, remember, the prophecy entails of the mark of the beast. Now, although we're seeing many countries that are not even a part of the beast system, right, go into central bank digital currencies, it's ultimately because who's in control of the beast system. All right. That's why we always make reference to Mayor Amschel Bauer, what he said: give me control of a nation's money. I care not who make the laws. All right. Because it is really the ones who are on top of the governments, which are the central bankers, that they're the ones that are ultimately going to try to. They're the ones that's the spearhead of implementing this system of digital currency and therefore digital payment. All right. So it says Project mBridge continues its development and has reached a minimum viable product MVP stage while broadening its international reach. The project aims to explore a multi-central bank digital currency platform shared among participating central banks and commercial banks, built on distributed ledger technology to enable instant cross-border payments and settlements. All right. And, just did a few, quick researches. The BIS is headquarters is in Switzerland. Right. What else is in Switzerland? The WEF, World Economic Forum meetings. That's in Switzerland. And these World Economic Forum meetings, right, are headed by NGOs, right? Well, should I say that the WEF is an NGO? Okay. The BIS is an NGO. The World Bank is an NGO, non-governmental organizations. See, those are the ones who are really ruling and controlling the world. You have these people that claim to be elected officials, but in reality, they're not the ones that are pulling the strings. They're the ones that's having their strings pulled. And that's why when you read in the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, where it speaks about Revelation 13, verse 11, it says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon," right? The two horns like a lamb representing the political parties in America, right? The Democratic and Republican, which goes back to the Roman political parties, the plebeian and patricians. And it says, and he spake as a dragon, right? The draconian measures, the draconian laws. But also, something I was, when I was reading this, I was thinking about as well. When we go up and we speak, and when we speak about the first dragon, or should I say the first beast, right? Verse 2, it says, "And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard," which is speaking about the Greeks, "and his feet were as the feet of a bear," right? Which the feet representing the end of Esau's rulership. And that's going to come through who? The bear, Russia. Okay. Because Russia, those are, that's a Edomite nation. Okay. Although you do have Jake over there. But the people that are in power for the most part are Edomites. It says, "And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority." Okay. So there is a distinction between the beast and the dragon. All right. The beast represents the actual system of Esau, but the dragon represents the actual, represents Esau himself. Okay. And speaking specifically about the elites of Esau, because remember, the dragon, when you go into that word, it just means a great, where is it? Right? A great serpent. Okay. A dragon, a great serpent, a name for Satan. Now, Satan is, you have Satan as the angel. All right. On the left hand side. All right. The left hand angel. Okay. And then you have Satan. When you go into that word, it says a Satan like man. Okay. It could be an individual or a nation. Okay. So this great serpent is Esau himself. He started off as a little snake in the garden, but through, him being able to fulfill his blessing that Isaac gave him, he became great in the earth. And he also, his authority became greater. All right. Which is why he's now a dragon. he has more power, because as it says in the book of Job, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. You see? So when you go to verse 11, he says, and he spake as a dragon. The actual ones who are in control of this system, this beast, are the ones who are what? On top of all of these nations, which are the central bankers. And they're the ones that are actually calling the shots, right? Let's go into this word spake. It says, I'm going to go down to this one right here. It says, to use words in order to declare one's mind and disclose one's thoughts. Okay, so the central bankers uses these governments, and now they don't even, they're getting to the point where they've gotten very bold, right? To where they're just coming out and speaking themselves. That's why you got guys like Klaus Schwab has become popular, right? Yuval Noah Harari. These people are non-elected officials, right? You got the Who Dat speaking. Okay, Christine Lagarde, all of these central bankers that are not elected by the citizens of these nations, but they're speaking. They're becoming more popular. Things that they're saying is becoming implemented in the earth, because it's ultimately they're the think tank, right? They're the talking heads for the ones who actually are in control. All right, as it says in Ephesians, the 6th chapter. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Right. So that's why. So you don't see Biden or Trump, OK, or Trudeau, right, speaking so much about, oh, you're going to eat the bugs, right, or 3D printed food. They may say something, once in a while, but who are the ones that's actually telling you that you're going to own nothing and be happy? It's not the presidents, right? They're not the ones that's saying this. It's the non-elected officials. It's the actual dragon. OK, and sometimes they speak directly and sometimes they'll speak through the governments. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that are in power. They're the ones that are actually pulling the strings. That's why you can have a president every 4 years and the agenda still basically stays the same. It's just the people that are below, as YAHAWASHI said, I'm from above, you're from below. It's the common, the sheeple, all right, the zombies that actually get caught up in the whole right versus left paradigm, right? The Republicans versus Democratic, all of that BS. All right. That's how they keep the people blinded by who and what are really pulling the strings. So going back to this, these projects, right, is, as we see, is being spearheaded by BIS and central banks from all across the world. So it says Project mBridge is a result of an extensive collaboration starting in 2021 between the BIS Innovation and Hub. No coincidence that this started, right after the EMIC, when you had the World Economic Forum came out and said, what? This is a great reset, right? This is a great reset. And then you had all of these other governments, right? Their prime ministers, their presidents talking about we are in the new world order. And then no coincidence also how all of these various different elected officials, quote unquote, are all members of the World Economic Forum. It's once again, this is a very, as it says in Psalms, was that 64? That the secret counsels of the wicked. Okay, there's a secret counsel of the wicked, man. And this is why that we got to pray that the Lord, protects us and hide us, right, from the secret counsel of the wicked who shoot in secret at the perfect. A lot of people are going to get caught up in this because they have no clue what is really going on. All right. But, the water to YAHAWASHI for giving us the eyes to see and the ears to hear. So reading on, it says between the BIS Innovation Hub, the Bank of Thailand, the Central Bank of the United Arab Emirates, the Digital Currency Institute of the People's Bank of China, and Hong Kong Monetary Authority, the Saudi Central Bank is joining mBridge as a full participant. There are also now more than 26 observing members. And this is why the Saudi Arabians did not renew that agreement, because they are joining the mBridge as a full member. Okay. So it says, let's see. It says the project aims to tackle some of the key inefficiencies in cross-border payments, including high cost, low speed, and operational complexities. It also addresses financial inclusion concerns, particularly in jurisdictions where correspondent banking, which connects countries to the global financial system, has been in retreat, causing additional costs and delays. So, long story short, the Saudi Arabians said, we don't need to only deal with the United States petrodollar, because we now are in a age of the government or the world being in a multipolarization, and we can just now use CBDCs in order to do buying, in order to do trading, right? And once again, CBDC stands for what? Central bank digital currency. Okay. So when you go down, it tells you as of June 2024, the observing members to Project mBridge include, all of these various different central banks, right? Bank of Korea, the Bank of France, Central Bank of Norway, Central Bank of Republic of Turkey, the European Central Bank, the International Monetary Fund, which is also an NGO, right? The National Bank of Georgia, the New York Innovation Center, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, right? So you have a lot of these various different, the Bank of 48ers, as you see there. So you have a lot of these governments that are all moving toward central bank digital currency. Now, the thing is, which I was, just meditating on, right now, America still has the grip or the hold, right, on the world, because most of the world still does trading in the US dollar. But American can, and the government of Babylon clearly sees that that is being shifted, right? That is being moved, right? And now what they could do, right? Because once again, it's called the mark of the beast. What they could very well do in order to try to maintain their hold on the world as being the top bank, or should I say the top government, they could try to disrupt the world economy as we know it now, right? And cause a global economic, turmoil or chaos, whatever. And then say, well, hey, we are ready to move in order to bring things back to normalcy. We are ready to, introduce the central bank digital currency of the Federal Reserve in order to do buying and selling, because most countries still are operating on using the US dollar. And I'm just, speaking as a man. Of course, we know in part and we prophesy in part. But, there something is going to happen to where this beast, right, is going to implement, as it says in Revelation 13 and 16, he causeth all. Let's pull it up real quick. Revelation 13, verse 16, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. See? So it's something, is going to take place to where this is going to be mandated on the earth. Okay. So I wanted to play this clip right here, just a little bit of this, and then we'll close it out. As you see, it says major development, Saudi Arabia joined Cbdc mBridge to end the US dollar dominance. The true reasons. Okay. And she does pretty good videos on like finance and everything like that.
To the petrodollar, that is the big question. In my opinion, absolutely not. And it means an end to an illusion, rather, that the launch of a central bank digital currency is light years away. It's certainly not the case. It's going to happen sooner than we think. And in this particular case, a wholesale CBDC has no implication on individuals, but it is safe to assume that retail CBDCs will follow shortly thereafter.
So, as she just said, right now it's starting with wholesales settlements, but retail will follow shortly thereafter. And retail basically entails about individuals being able to buy and sell, right? Being able to use CBDCs. So right now they're at a position to where they're, through this mBridge, they are piloting and at a point where I think they said like the first 6 countries that are first 6 central banks, Thailand, the UAE, China, they're basically saying that they could use this system to do wholesale settlements. But let me run it back real quick just to hear what she said again.
Bank digital currency is light years away. It's
hold on.
Absolutely not. And it means an end to an illusion, rather, that the launch of a central bank digital currency is light years away. It's certainly not the case.
See, so a launch to central bank digital currency, she said it ends the illusion that a launch to central bank digital currency is light years away. It's certainly not. Okay, meaning what? It's closer than what it's being perceived, right? What these talking heads are actually saying, because like I said, things are moving fast. Okay, remember, this has really only been in talks within the last 2 or 3 years, but here it is. You got countries now are ready to do trade, right? Cross-border trade, wholesale, within 3 years. And as she's about to say, if they're doing that now, then retail trade, which is on a consumer level, is not going to be far behind.
Going to happen sooner than we think. And in this particular case, a wholesale CBDC has no implication on individuals, but it is safe to assume that retail CBDCs will follow shortly thereafter. The strength of the petrodollar depends.
Okay, so I'm just going to jump. So I just wanted to play that part, and let's play this part right here.
Modernize its payment systems and to become a key global player.
And she's talking about Saudi Arabia right now.
Will enable Saudi Arabia to trade with China and the United States simultaneously, using different currencies and different systems, different platforms, mBridge and SWIFT, as well as to enjoy the convenience of instant trade settlements. And so it will continue doing that, and it will benefit from it tremendously. But remember that Saudi Arabia is interested in growing its economy, and if it stops doing business with the United States, if it indicates that it is leaning towards the east, it will be a tremendous disadvantage in the path to achieving that economic development that the prince desperately wants. For example, Saudi's push to modernize its payment system has resulted in digital payments in Saudi Arabia surging in recent years. They reached 70% of all retail transactions in the kingdom. The second reason why Saudi Arabia will sell its natural resources to China and its Western partners is the fact that doing this allows it to have more leverage and more influence on the United States. If it quits using the dollar, it would mean that it's leaning too much towards the East, which undeniably benefits China. But it gives too much power to China, which Saudi Arabia, of course, is unlikely to do at the same time. Saudi Arabia is not in the business of making those type of gifts to China or to the United States if the roles were reversed. So Saudi Arabia will use both, and it will balance them in a way that makes West Asia even more of a region where the imperial interests of the West and the newly established power of the East collide. Just like the UAE, Saudi Arabia is positioning itself to play both off of each other very well. Think of mBridge as an alternative to SWIFT. While of course it will facilitate transaction settlements with the countries of the global majority, the blockchain in and of itself is just the basis that creates efficiencies. That's all that is.
And the SWIFT is basically owned by the United States, which is why America was able to sanction Russia and ban it from using the SWIFT. And that's why Russia is, along with the other BRICS nations, trying to come up with a new payment system. Well, Russia has their own payment system, but basically they're trying to come up with a conglomerate payment system and a unified central bank digital currency so that they don't no longer need to use the SWIFT system. So it's all a part of the de-dollarization that is happening globally. And America sees this, right? America sees that the world is de-dollarizing, and they're not going to just allow that or let that happen without them trying to, combat that. And that's why you have, I believe it was Jerome Powell, all right, the Fed chairman. He said that they don't want to fall behind in the race to CBDCs. OK, they don't want to be late to the party, because they know that if they were, then they basically would be kicked out. They won't be a major player.
Saudi Arabia and China, for example, would have to continue building upon this system via bilateral and multilateral trade agreements and investments to decrease the demand for the dollar over a period of time. Now, mBridge is a key project to keep an eye on, of course. According to the Bank for International Settlements, the project has already reached its minimum viable product stage, or in other words, the earliest production phase. This indicates that mBridge is now available to commercial banks in the 6 participating members for actual cross-border payment use. The Bank for International Settlement has now invited private sector firms to engage in developing the new platform. Saudi Arabia is making a very smart move by positioning itself to be a partner of the United States and China at the same time. But remember, since the Bank for International Settlements is leading the project, is leading mBridge development, it is unlikely to challenge the arm that feeds it. Think about that. The Saudis are clear winners here, and they're making a very important step towards neutralizing the power of Western-led financial system, while also keeping their own interests on top of the priorities list.
Okay, so, that's pretty much it on that. So like I said, there's a lot of moving parts happening, right? And ultimately, this whole central bank digital currency system isn't going away. All right, this is the end game, and this is what will usher in the mark of the beast. And how that happens, it will remain to be seen. But we can clearly see that this is something that is happening rapidly, behind closed doors. Right. And really not even really behind closed doors. It's just not really spoken about in mainstream media. But, for us that, the Lord gave the eye sloth to, we see exactly, how everything is all coming into fruition, because it is all prophecy. And as the Lord said, that his word does not, return to him void. So, pretty much that's it. I just wanted to touch on this, Lord willing. This was edifying unto the elect. Just like I always say, just keep watching, because everything that the Lord said, will take place is happening. So as it says in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. So with that, giving all praises to Yahawah, YAHAWASHI, YAHAWASHI,